Good morning. Good morning, St. Paul. This is your unbougie foodie bringing you all things food on the east side in St. Paul and, our surrounding neighborhoods. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I'm so pleased and happy to have two special guests. One has returned, yay, and one is new. So, ladies first, Shannon, say hi to everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Good.
Wow, that was great. I'm setting the bar high for introductions already.
It's alright, it's a little early in the morning.
Thank you. Our other guest host is TJ. And I apologize, TJ.
Yes?
TJ's first name is difficult for me to pronounce, but it is Paimani.
There you
Paimani.
go, yeah. Right,
Paimani Superphone.
Throws everybody off every time.
Well, thank you so much again, both for being here.
Good morning.
Please, Shannon, tell us a little bit about what you do and how we know each other from food.
Oh, well, like I said, or you said, whatever. I'm Shannon Toohey, and I'm a local theater artist. And I also substitute instruct at Interact Center for Visual Performing Arts in St. Paul, which is a theater company for people with disabilities. And one of the composer at Interact, he introduced us, Aaron Gabriel, and that's how we got talking about food and cooking and everything, and all those summers ago.
I know, it seems like many moons, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
TJ.
Yes.
Tell us about you, sir.
My name, should I get full name? You get full name?
Yeah.
Full name, Paimani TJ Superphone. Ironically, TJ is my name. It's my middle name, and I got it because my immigrant parents really liked the show TJ Hooker. And so when they sent my uncle down to get my birth certificate from the hospital asked me if I wanted a middle name, because in our culture, and Laotian culture, we don't really have middle names. We just have our first name, our family name, and then our given name.
Okay.
So they really like TJ Hooker, so they named me after the show. So little tidbit there. As far as what I do, I guess I'm just here. I know the bourgeoisie foodie from our work life, right?
Yes, definitely.
But I do a lot in the community, specifically the Asian community. Help out a lot with local orgs such as the St. Paul Nagasaki Sister City group, and then also the Bloomington Izumi Sister City group as well. And then just Dragon Festival. I'm sure folks are aware of that here in St. Paul, actually, annually.
Yep, sure
Dragon
is.
Festival.
Isn't that Fallon Lake?
Yep, it's over there. Yep. See, you know about the locals there.
You're with it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, other than that, you can just find me around eating and.
And that's the important thing, because this show is about eating
and
food.
That's my life. So
exactly. I'm gonna ask you, TJ,
Mm-hmm.
and Shannon. I'm definitely gonna ask you because I know that you have been cooking. Even more recently, well, not even more, but just she's a regular cook, and I mean, her desserts, her pastries are phenomenal, and her dishes that she makes, I have not had an opportunity, but that's just because I'm busy and I never had the opportunity to get over there. That's my fault. I sense
a little bit of guilt.
No, it's guilt on me. It's all on me. Believe
I'll throw
me.
a special dinner party just for you.
I love you. Your background in food. I know you said that we were talking before. Just very briefly, you mentioned something about you do cook at home, and because of your culture and your family and so forth. Tell us a little bit about the types of food that you enjoy cooking. Yes.
Oh, that I enjoy cooking. So I guess when I cook, it just kind of runs the gamut. Whatever I feel like eating that day is what I actually end up cooking. So I actually didn't start cooking until about college.
Okay.
At the time, I was dating a gal that was vegetarian, so we had to do a lot of cooking at home. When we ate out, it was difficult to find vegetarian food, at least at the time, So we did a lot of cooking at home. So we'd cook Mexican, obviously some Lao food, Japanese food, you name it. We'd try it, and then we'd see if it worked out. But growing up, I was telling Shannon this, I didn't do much cooking. Because my mom, she'd always kick me out of the kitchen. She wouldn't let me sit and watch or anything. She'd be like, "No, this isn't your place. You get out of here. This is my place. You need to go over there and study. You need to worry about your future. Let me cook." As I was telling Shannon, unfortunately, she passed away in 2005. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. The obviously the family recipes kind of left with her. So bits and parts of the family recipes are with aunties and uncles and whatnot who have learned cooking from my mom. So it lives on through them, but obviously it's not the same as mom's cooking.
It's
not.
What I mean? It really isn't. Even though you try to replicate it, it's like, dang, I wish my mom were here, or that she knows that extra spice to put in there, or something else, or just how much longer to cook it or not cook it or something. So yeah, I understand.
And I mean, the crazy thing with most Lao cooking is that it's all like you have to do it, you physically do it. Like growing up, whenever they would explain to like the younger women on when they bring them into the kitchen to show them how to cook, they would ask for exact measurements, and they'd be like, "No, you taste it, and then if it tastes this way, then it's right."
Exactly.
And everything is done that way. So even if you're watching them and they're pouring like soy sauce into a tablespoon,
like, how much is that?
Yeah, they're just like bloop bloop.
Yeah, you're like, wait, what was that?
And they're like, no, taste it. And then you'll know, okay. Then you develop a palate for it, right? So then this is too salty, this isn't salty enough, this isn't earthy enough, umami or whatnot.
Okay.
So yeah. So now, I mean, current generation, right? Everybody's writing stuff down now and trying to figure out, what the exact measurement.
Yeah,
right.
And so forth.
They're like, okay, this amounts to this, about this much, and then obviously you tailor it to your taste. So,
Understood.
So yeah, it's cool what the new generation is doing, like my generation and younger. So
I feel so old. I do.
Tell me about it.
No. Trust me, I'm much older than you are. Much older.
No. You can't be that much older.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I am.
Yeah?
Yes.
No way. No.
I am. I am.
You're young at heart.
I know. It's my spirit.
You got the good anti-aging genes.
Yeah. I am. It's what I don't. I've never talked about it on the air or whatever, but I told them that I'm 47. So yeah, I'm 47.
I'm sorry. Really apparently, I bring out secrets that.
Wow, this got really dark. I know. And I'm very uncomfortable.
Let's go back to food now.
So Shannon, what do you like?
No, all of that. It's so. I was just talking with my mom the other day, and I'm like, "Hey, do you have a recipe?" I can't remember. It was something pretty basic, like potato salad, but her potato salad is the only one that I'll touch.
Right.
And then I'm like, "So what's in it?" And she goes, "I don't know. Watch me make it."
Oh, wow.
And so
your mom and my mom would have got along.
Exactly. But so much of it is kind of, it's a sight thing. It feeds into all of the senses. And so when I cook, I'm bad at that too, because I'll look at a recipe and I'm like, oh, that sounds really good, but I'm like here pouring like another gallon of soy sauce because that's what it needs.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get too caught up, though, in following a recipe to a T and are kind of losing that ability to be like, this is the extra thing it needs.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, tasting it. I mean, tasting it while you're cooking it, if you would, or preparing it. That's important, too, because without that, I mean, like, you're just, like you said, following just a recipe. And then when you're done, you're like, oh, but this doesn't taste like what I'm used to or something.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's where the soul really comes in, right? And putting yourself into it when you're tasting it, you're like, okay, this to me doesn't evoke the feelings that I had when I first had it or whatnot. And then I'm like, okay, so then I need a little bit more salt. And then it gets to the point where the full body comes out and you're, it gets to where you need it to be.
And then it becomes yours.
Yeah.
I mean, I always think, and when I talk to my friends, I always say that I use a recipe as a foundation. I mean, I'm not going to like stray totally, but sometimes that's the creativity does come out and you put certain things in or take certain things out. But that recipe for me is a foundation.
Right.
And it's so funny because basically the three of us, and I'm quite sure many of our listeners out there also, are thinking the same way that their parents did that. My parents are from Central America, so they there's no real measurements or whatever. And the same thing with my father. When I watched him, he's just putting stuff in. I'm like, Daddy, what's that? Just watch what I'm doing or whatever. It's like, if you miss it, that's, hey, you got to make it all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, really? But that's how it is. It really is about just tasting your food as you're going along. And I appreciate both of your viewpoints and how your parents raised you in reference to cooking. Yeah. You mentioned that you are from, and forgive me for, I'm embarrassed because when it naturally flows, it just probably comes out wrong. Right. But you are from Laos. Mm-hmm. Good.
And scene.
Yeah, there we go. And scene.
When we were Shannon and I had an opportunity to go. We're going to be discussing this very shortly. Shannon and I had an opportunity to go to what is referred to as a Fakao, a Lao pop-up it's in St. Paul. But
Mid-City Kitchen?
Yes, exactly. Okay. But the hosts or chefs that were there, they were saying Lao cuisine is different than other Asian cuisines, or because specifically they said it was different from Thai, because although it was very close, it still has its own flavors and textures and so forth. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. And just a slight correction, I was actually born here. My parents were from Laos. They immigrated.
I'm sorry.
No. See, the thing I always tell people is, at least for myself, I don't, and everybody's different, right?
Yes.
But I never get upset when people are asking me questions like this, and they, there's a little bit of embarrassment because it gives me an opportunity to talk about it.
Okay.
That's how I always approach things.
I'm sorry, TJ.
But as Lao food, as I told you, it's a little bit different than Thai food, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say Lao food is probably a little bit more earthy.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Because a lot of Lao food includes what we call padek. Now, padek, you're probably more familiar with the liquid form of padek, which is fish sauce.
Okay.
Right? But the fish sauce you're familiar with is like the light, thin, like amber-colored fish sauce, right? Mm-hmm. That's a product that's been filtered down from the original fermented fish.
I see.
Yeah. So Laotians, we actually use that funk. It's somebody described it. Somebody on the East Coast described it as that funk, and I've just been describing it as that too. I think a guy from a restaurant called Gale on the East Coast in New York. I don't remember his name, and I apologize, but I'm sure if you looked up Vice or something, you can find a video about him. And he's Lao, and he's doing a lot of good things in the East Coast too. But
cool.
Padek, that's what provides Lao food with that umami, earthy flavor.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's in a lot of dishes.
Wow.
So like the tamakung that you had, the papaya salad, that had padek in it. The mokpa, that also probably had padek.
Yes.
In it. Yeah. A lot of the gel or the dipping sauces.
Okay.
Those all probably had padek in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so then, is it like whole pieces of the fish, or is it just like?
So it really depends. Like, here's the thing with like Laos is that, even though you've got these base sauces, everybody tailors it a little bit different, right?
Okay.
And that's kind of the whole thought process behind the gel, is that sometimes it's a good accompaniment, but at the same time, the culture way back in the day, it was like agrarian, right? So all farmers and whatnot.
Yes.
And typically you had large families to help you out in the fields. Well, you're not going to cook individual dishes to tailor to everybody's taste, right? You're just going to cook a massive amount, and then these gel or the dipping sauces would also help with people's like
taste.
Yeah, if somebody likes it a little bit spicier, they can go ahead and take the gel, put it in their little bit of dish or whatever that they pulled off, and then they can have it the way that they like it. Or especially for guests too, when you have guests over, the same sort of concept. So, but yeah, some of the dishes call for whole pieces of fish to be put in. Mm-hmm. So you get even more of the funk. Funk. And then if you see it, if you look up like videos on YouTube and stuff like that, it literally, when it's fermented down, it's viscous. It's like Sometimes it's brown, sometimes it's depending on who made it,
Okay.
and what type of fish you make it with.
So can it be made with any type of fish, or?
Yeah, I think typically mostly Laotians make it with anchovies, I think.
Okay.
When my parents, growing up, I would see them make it out of any type of fish they could get their hands on.
Okay.
They made it with tilapia. They made it with.
Yeah.
I think they tried making it with muskie one time.
Oh.
I remember just them cutting up a whole muskie, putting it in a bucket, and then throwing in the padek, like the fermentation stuff. So like a ton of salt and then like they had some sort of starter culture too, I think, or something like that.
Gosh, see, sounds like we're making
you could do like a mini
beer.
It's essentially
beer.
Right, yeah. And that's the one that padek that's really separates it.
Okay.
That ingredient separates Lao food from like the rest of Southeast Asia.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed myself. I don't know about you, Shannon. I mean,
oh my God.
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't make it seem like you didn't. But because we talked, I mean, literally, she hadn't left yet, and we were just kind of like driving up or getting to the event, and she's like, "I'm hungry. Oh my God, it's amazing. A lot of food or whatever." And then we couldn't stop talking about it for like a week almost. It was like, good Lord. We need to do this again. I wish they could.
Right. So then both of you, and I think we were talking about this earlier, both of you wanted it at different times.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that sucked because, man, we should have been together.
Should have. Well, you were eating, because I have actually never eaten more food in my entire life than I did at that pop-up dinner.
That's typical Lao.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And then I went to the gym because I said, if I go to bed or lay down on this, I'm going to die. And I mean that in a good way, but I was on the treadmill and I walked 15 miles and I'm like, okay, I think I might be an actual human again.
It was delicious. It really was delicious. So this is a good segment for us to actually go into that whole experience. And for you and I, it was, I don't even know where to begin. Well, yes, I do. The welcome drink. I like the welcome drink or the welcome cocktail.
Well, anything with the gin, I'm like, homegirl's ready.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I can't even, I think I wrote it down or something like that, and I forgot. I didn't put it on here, but that welcome drink, it was like.
It was Tanqueray and lemon. It was a citrus-based cocktail.
And didn't it have some type of herb or something like that? That was infused or something in it. Mm-hmm. Man, it was so delicious. But just to start off, I mean, to go in there and feel the warmth, if you would, of hospitality that was with it. I mean, Christina, what's her last name? Man.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Sorry. And then Anne, what's Anne's last name? From Lemongrass.
I think it's Ahmed. And I apologize. Gan and Christina, I apologize.
Oh my goodness, I'm embarrassed too.
No, go ahead and continue. I'll do the research.
But no, because I also have it here too. It's like, okay, it was and Ahmed.
The funny thing is, when you're looking at their stuff on social media and stuff like that, then you associate them with Christina, from House of XD.
Yes, exactly.
And from Lemongrass. And then you don't,
picture them as two separate individuals.
It's like meeting internet people in real life.
Yeah.
And you're like, how do I do this?
You could do it only by association.
My Instagram handle's like Skylar Lucy, and people are like, hi, Skylar. And I'm like, no, that's my middle name. And Lucy was my dead dog's name. I haven't gotten rid of it since AOL.
A lot of my college friends, I just knew them by their handles for 5 years.
Oh,
we didn't even know each other's first or last names. We just called each other by our handles until finally we're like, okay, let's really get some names down.
Yeah.
It's getting embarrassing.
But I really want to thank them both, Anne Ahmed from Lemongrass, Thai Cuisine, and then Christina Tia, House of Ixtia. They were wonderful hosts, and then also the managing event coordinator. Her name was Christy
Trent. Yeah.
Christy.
Yep.
I know. If you're listening out there, Christy, we apologize. I apologize. I feel bad
Christy
because
from the Chi List.
Yes.
I just gotta plug that in for her.
No, please. had told her about the, hey, this is what I do. And, I told them after the fact, but she was like, oh, can I get a business card or whatever? And I promised her I would, let them know when I was going to be on the show. And I said it was normally the following week. But, yeah, that didn't happen because of, anyway. There was an issue. And then, I wanted Shannon and I to also be talking about it on the same time. So we had to, put our schedules together or work our schedules together. And so I want them to know that, yes, I had not forgotten about them. And from that point on, I'm like, I have to talk about this. I have to talk about this. I have to get in a good guests to talk about it. So I have 2 really awesome guests right now that could talk about it fully.
We were worth the wait.
Yes.
Oh, Shannon, I know about myself. I'm just here today. So.
But this event was one that was, I think it was my first pop-up, if you would. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what to expect. And again, like I said, the hospitality that, Christina came out. I got a chance to meet Christy, and we talked a little bit. They were very, willing to explain, and they probably explained it so many times, or probably as they're meeting so many different people throughout the event, and both times at 6:30 and at 8, I think. They probably had to explain it to multiple people, the type of setting, the type of decorations and so forth that were being used, and the meanings behind it and whatnot. So I really do appreciate them taking the time to do that. And again, I want to express my love for the whole event. And please correct me, TJ. Yes, I'm telling you to correct me. So if I do it wrong, please let me know.
When we language correspondent for the day.
Yes,
today.
Thank you. TJ, our language correspondent.
We'll be live from St. Paul.
When we walked in, after having the welcome drink, they ushered us into another seating area where they had small tables. Okay. And those are referred to as katuks, correct? Katok.
Yeah. Sorry. No, it's we had this conversation a little bit.
I know, right?
When you Romanize a foreign language,
right?
Everybody does it different, right?
Dang.
Yeah. So like I was saying to you,
yes.
When Lao was originally Romanized, it was Romanized by, and when I say Romanized, I mean like translated with English characters or whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. So the French originally did it, and of course the French had all these accents that they use in their language, right? So then when they were doing more Romanization over to the States, obviously we lost a lot of those accents, and then sometimes you mishear a sound here or there, and then you correct it later on.
And then of course I'm where I'm from, I'm going to pronounce it a certain type of way, but that's why I said I want you to correct me. So I need you to correct me.
It's katok. Yep, and you're talking about the round rattan table?
Yes. Exactly. It was a beautiful presentation. I mean, the containers that were on, that were on each of them, and then I'm not used to sitting on the floor, but it was a different experience, honestly. No, and I don't mean that in any type of bad way. It's a different culture, and but I appreciated it because you didn't have to worry about moving chairs, moving this, moving that. It's just like the most important thing in the room were these items that people were gathered around on pillows, some cushions and so forth.
Right.
But it gave you an opportunity to just kind of like, I don't know, be comfortable, and I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but it was very.
It's like, it provides like a cozy atmosphere.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It was very homey.
Yes.
And not in like, I mean, it was just like you felt so comfortable.
Right. It wasn't ostentatious and with a whole bunch of stuff and, things are on the table and I need a centerpiece, I need this, I need that, or whatever, and all of that, and silverware. No.
It's super simple. Very basic. And it's incredibly inviting, right?
Yes.
Because literally it's just, like you said, it's the tables with the food and then yourselves.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So every distraction possible that could be there is like removed from the elements, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so from learning from that, and as they explained, because I think someone had either asked the question or they may have just automatically explained it, they explained the katok, okay, and then said if someone asks, well, how does it, this is a fakao, how does it, what are the two, how are the relation?
Right.
And I believe she mentioned that, the table, of course, the small table, and then it becomes a fakao when food is actually being placed on it, or,
right.
Certain dishes are being placed on it. So altogether, it becomes a fakao.
Right.
Which is, and if you could explain what a fakao, specifically a fakao itself.
So the fakao itself, I think the best way of explaining the difference between the two, because it's almost just a semantics type of thing. It'd be like if you had a table in your kitchen, when you don't have food on it, it's just a table, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you put food on top of it and you have everyone gather around it, it becomes the dinner table.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same sort of concept.
Or
like
a feast
that.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
Right, yeah, exactly. So by itself, the katok, that's like the name of the tool, like, the rattan table itself. Like if, say, I was at home, my mom would be like, go grab the table because we're going to go eat. She'd be like, "Pao katok, skin kao," but then as soon as, again, as you mentioned before, as soon as we start putting stuff on it and then it's time to eat, it's pakao.
Okay.
And that's like, it's almost like a inactive active type of thing, right?
Understood.
Yeah.
And that's a good explanation. I appreciate you explaining that, even though I forced you.
Well, that's what I'm here for today.
So, I want us to go start talking about the different types of foods and everything.
And I'm really interested to hear both your perspectives.
Man.
I mean, coming from the folks, Christy from the Chilas,
right.
And I think Christina asked me too on Instagram. They're both asking me if I was going to attend the event, and myself, I said no. I'd rather keep those spots open for folks who haven't been exposed to the culture before. Not that that's right or wrong, right? That was just my opinion.
No. Believe me, because I remember when you put it on social media, I was like, me.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm there.
Right.
It was so popular that they opened it for another 2 seatings.
They did open it for another 2 seatings. Yeah,
and I was like, I'm going to this.
Right.
I don't know who I'm going to have to... I'm going to wrangle, but I'm going to go, even if it's by myself. But no, I totally appreciate you saying that. I can't even remember how I even came across it. It may have been through you mentioning it on social media or me just doing some research on, places to do, some research on.
Right.
But man, I was glad that you said that, because as soon as you said it, I was like, I'm gonna go buy this ticket right now, because I don't know what type of food. I mean, I know what type of food it is, but I'm having it.
Pretty much meant to be then.
Yes, I believe so. And then to find out, I mentioned it, and then Shannon said, "Oh, I'm going to." I was like, "What?" It's like, "What time are you going?" I'm going at this part. Dang, I'm not going at the same time. So no, but yeah, good segue. The first fakao, and I'm going to turn to our correspondent.
Do you want me to say it? I might butcher the names too. You never know.
Whatever.
Just to make fun of it.
Right. I know. But the first one, they said it was
so much hate mail if I did that.
You get mail still?
They'll be like, the Lao brother doesn't know how to pronounce it.
No. The very first one, they entitled it as Snacks from the Streets of Laos.
Yeah.
So, okay, so go ahead, go down the list.
He's not even going to attempt. So you got. Do you want me to just read the list off here for the listeners? All right. So you got the saku, which is tapioca balls filled with pork. That's ground pork and preserved cabbage. And then you have kanom kok, which is coconut rice cakes filled with ground pork and mushrooms. And then you have muang luang, which is lettuce. Sorry.
I hope not. Like
my brain. Sometimes when I switch back and forth, it gets crossed. Lettuce bits filled with creamy rice, sautéed tomato, lemongrass, peanuts, and ginger. So.
Awesome. Oh my goodness.
And those are definitely street snacks. Like you would find street vendors selling that stuff on like the streets of Vientiane or anywhere else too. So.
I was I'm a visual person, not only with just food, but just like the whole atmosphere and how things are set up.
Right.
So of course I took a picture of the katok and the seating arrangement, but then I focused specifically on there's a silver container which I just thought was beautiful. The containers that that each of the food, the street snacks came in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like an Indian tiffin box.
Yes.
Yeah,
right?
it's actually so a lot of I shouldn't say a lot, a decent amount of influence from India came over, whether it was religion, textiles, those tiffin box or in India they're called tiffin, right?
They're beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean, oh my gosh.
They make those in Laos too.
Oh, nice.
So as far as history is, I'm pretty sure that was an import from India. I don't remember whether or not.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of culture that came over from India through Buddhism. So
okay,
yeah.
And that's why the small Buddhas throughout the event were there with the candles and so forth, and yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Oh yeah, I wanted those Buddhas. I was saying that I was going to stick one in my purse. And
Yeah.
have, like, a bunch of hats over
Well,
there.
you
No.
probably shouldn't do that.
No.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
There are a multitude of Laotian Buddhist temples I can direct you to, and they'll be happy to either give you a Buddha or one for a small donation.
There you go.
Because we don't want you to have bad karma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
I need.
Yeah.
That's big in Laos. You
Oh, boy.
you can't get the bad karma.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. Where to begin? I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, let's talk about those street snacks first, maybe. Like,
I
what
know
did you
that's
both think
which
about
one
them?
of them. I'm like,
I guess. So let's go. I mean, let's just start down the list. Like the saku. What did you think about that? Because I know we were talking about this earlier too.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry. So I went with a couple friends, and one of my friends was really concerned because she had seen a picture of it, and she's like very texture driven.
Right.
And so kind of like she was really nervous about it, and she wasn't even going to try it. And everybody's like, no, you have to try it.
Right.
It's
Oh, gosh, yes.
good. And I think out of everything that was my favorite.
The saku.
Yeah.
I think mine was the khao nam cook. Oh no, I didn't pronounce that right. Go ahead, TJ.
Kanom.
Khao nam cook.
Khao nom. So the first khao nom.
Khao nam.
Think of it. Khao nom means the literal translation means like candy or treat or dessert. And then kok is shoot. A lot of people are gonna get me on this one. I think the kok is the tool that is used.
Okay.
So like they have that like that pancake puff maker.
Yes.
Have you ever seen it on TV?
Mm.
And I think that was imported from the Portuguese when they were doing all the trade down in Thailand. That just kind of spread because I don't believe we had that in Laos originally. And if somebody wants to correct me, please do, and don't send me too much hate mail. But
Yes, we do have a call line.
I know,
We do have a call line.
I mean, yeah,
I
we
might get
do.
called out
Which,
today.
we were so engrossed in the conversation and everything like that. I'm like, okay, I wanted to remind my listeners out there, our listeners, because this is your show too.
yes.
Don't give me too much power.
Oh, really? I mean, please, if you have any questions regarding the cuisine and what we're talking about and discussing, please feel free to give us a call here at WEQY. The telephone number is 651-200-3479. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna. No, go ahead. Sorry.
What were you going to say?
That was one of those I forgot that I was here and not like in my own space inside my head.
But again, that number is 651-200-3479. We are taking, we're going to be taking calls. So
Yes, we can.
So yeah.
We can also take them in French and Japanese.
Yeah, probably not. That won't be a great thing. No. Please don't say that.
Mediocre Spanish.
No.
Yeah, mediocre French.
Exactly.
Very basic level Japanese.
No. Anyway.
And some outdated Chinese.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, so we got our bases
Yeah,
covered.
wow.
Then. Yeah.
We got Caribbean
Yeah.
too, but anyway,
Well,
that's
there
another
you
thing. But for me, the coconut rice cakes filled with ground pork and mushroom, that was I love that. It was good. All of them were good, but man, I think I was eating that more than anybody else. I was terrible.
So that one hit home for you.
Yeah, it really did.
I'm really glad that you like the saku though, because that very like, if there was anything, I would be concerned with like maybe folks outside of the culture, like, not being able to handle, would be the saku and the texture.
Just because of the texture?
Just because when you look at it, right, it's the tapioca balls. Obviously they've been cooked, but then they're like formed into a like an outer,
looks like a little alien.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, legit. It does, And then you got the stuffing inside, right? So you can see into it, but you can't exactly tell what is inside of it.
What is that?
But put it
in your mouth and it's
right.
like, it's
and of course, the texture of it is completely different than what you expect too, though, because you're looking at it and you think, well, it's like pearly and you can see inside, so it should be slick, right? It's like, no, it's sticky.
It is.
It's sticky.
Well, and especially for versus, I don't know, tapioca and bubble tea, which is a lot softer. I mean, there was a little more like give to it.
Right,
So
it causes you to chew.
It was like it was like al dente
tapioca. Yeah. And I don't that's one of the things where people wouldn't expect. That's one of those, I like to call them surprise Asian textures.
Okay.
It looks like one thing, but then it ends up being completely different.
Right.
Than
Well, I mean, it was kind of like a study in like mouthfeel.
Yeah.
It definitely had that.
Wow. Okay.
But once you get past that,
it was delicious.
Taste, right? Yeah.
It was delicious. Admitted, I liked it, but my favorite out of the three was
Right. I'd like to go back in time and ask the person that made that, like, what were you thinking? And how did you even think to put these two things together?
Okay, next, grandma's favorites.
Yes.
Out of these, oh my gosh. Again, I'd like to turn our attention to our Laotian correspondent.
Get the linguist here. All right. The second kakao. So we got Tom Kim, which is pork belly braised in 5 spice with quail eggs.
Can I just kind of like already say that's the one I love more than anything?
Well, so this one it's common among I don't want to say all Asian cultures. A lot of East Asian cultures have this specific dish.
Okay.
And I think it's Chinese influence, but we all took it up as our own.
Oh man.
So like, China, they have a version, the Thai have a version, I think the Vietnamese and Cambodians have a version too.
Oh wow.
And then the Japanese have a kakuni. And I don't remember if that was from Hawaii or from Japan. I apologize to my Japanese people listening.
We love you.
Listening. Yeah.
We do.
Next, yeah.
So, sorry, I interrupt because I was a little bit overly excited, and people know that I have a thing about pork belly.
Pork belly,
yes,
and
I
that pork belly, like, it's just. I remember as a kid growing up, my mom would make this maybe once a month, and literally, that feeling you said when you just had to go home, and it felt like every time we'd eat this, she'd make a pot, and my brother and I, we'd eat it all in one sitting, and then we'd be like dead literally dead, like the rest of the day from the pork intake.
Oh man!
And it's like we call it mu sam san in Lao. It's triple layer pork.
Okay.
Oh.
But it's like they're talking about the layers of marbling or fat. Yeah.
Yes.
Which is the kind of the best part. So. And then we've got a trio of jiao served with Lao pork sausages. And the jiao is essentially dip or dipping sauce, right? Or salsa, I guess you could call it. So we got jiao hit, which is roasted mushroom sauce, dipping sauce. Jiao mak lin. I feel like a teacher right now. Jiao mak lin.
You are,
jiao
and believe me, you are literally here not with that purpose. Exactly. I'm like, hey. Yeah. Please continue.
Yes. I feel like they dropped my voice a couple octaves to match you. Jiao mak lin, which is roasted tomato sauce, and then jiao bong siang kuang, which is roasted chilies and herbs. And those three, they're pretty common, like in households. So.
Well, and then she said, I think it was Christina said, it was served traditionally with like a big basket of sticky rice, and that we just dipped in with our hands.
Yeah.
And it was.
And did they teach you how to take the sticky rice and turn it into like a scoop?
No.
Well, you can do that.
They just said kind of go.
You can. So it all depends on the region too. I think I know like so my family's from down south.
Okay.
Yeah, down south, southern Laos. From a city. They're from a city outside of a city called Seno, down south. But growing up as a kid, they would, they teach you to pull it off, make a little ball, or just pull it off and then dip it. But you could also form it into a little scoop, which actually helps you dip and get more sauce onto the rice. So, yeah.
Out of those three, which one was had the most heat? Do you
out of these three? Are you talking to
I
Shannon?
think,
Shannon, not me. So he's looking at me, but I was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just happened to look up.
Looking into the ether.
I don't
know. I think the roasted chilies, because that was just kind of pure chili, but I don't I don't know. I liked mixing the tomatoes with the chilies.
Okay.
And the tomatoes, I couldn't. We like kept our bowl and got in trouble because they needed to wash the dishes for the next pop up, and we were like hoarding all of the
I can see that. I can really see that.
And it's like I couldn't stop eating it.
That's not uncommon to happen, even among Laotian families. So.
Yeah.
But so I mean, out of the whole meal, I don't know. I just kept going back to especially the roasted tomatoes.
Roasted tomatoes.
Just, oh,
yeah.
God.
And as for me, as much heat as it was, because I was like, I need water. I was going back to the roasted chilies and herbs, but it was just kind of like, oh man. Yeah, I could.
It hits you.
Give me another welcome drink or something.
But it lingers too.
It does. It's that. But it was that. It was the good heat. It wasn't. You know how some chilies or something, or when something's prepared, salsa. I'm sorry, not really comparing the two, but I could only equate it right now to like salsa. Is when
I think that's actually a fair equation. Yeah.
So no, when it comes down to sorry about that. We were trying to figure out what was going on up in here in the station. It's like
an alien passed by.
I know something like that. I have no idea.
Apologize for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, exactly. But I think what it was is that how some chilies or salsas or something with heat, how it burns you, and it kind of it causes interruption of your taste buds to taste other things.
Right.
This didn't really do that.
Yeah.
It was heat, and it was a good heat. It wasn't the one that like burned your throat. It's like your taste buds knew that it was like, okay, we have something on us right now that is like, wow.
Right.
It's strong. But it was good. It was really good. But
that's actually a good description of Lao food heat.
Okay.
Like it's not overbearing. I mean, like the first time if you've never had heat before,
yes,
it can be a bit intimidating, right? But it really draws out the flavors.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I've learned that
it's a good burn.
Yeah.
It's
not that overbearing. Gosh.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, like sometimes you go like. No, I'm not gonna throw shade at them. I was I didn't unintentionally. I didn't want to intentionally throw shade at a corporation or anything. But sometimes you go to a local chain restaurant, and then they have like a ghost pepper or whatever, right? Or some sort of like insanely hot.
Okay.
And like you can't taste the flavor in the sauce.
Right.
It's just it's so hot. But with the bird chilies or the Thai chilies, they don't. They burn, but it's a good burn.
Well, right, and it's a layered thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the second that you can't taste anything, it's not even worth eating.
Continue.
Right, exactly.
But if it's a layered heat, I mean, you can be crying, but it can be good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, mine was sweat. It was just coming everywhere. It was hitty. It was bad. It was so horrible. I know that's the thing about when I go...
I didn't even think it was that spicy.
But, girl, I'm telling you.
Minnesota spice?
No.
It's ketchup spicy?
No, please, don't. Really? My parents are from the Caribbean, so I know about heat. But it was just that, I don't know. Maybe it just hit. Maybe I had the welcome drink too early or something like that. And then, everything else starts to go downhill from there. I don't know.
That's why you got to have beer.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not knocking it at all. It was just, I get self-conscious when I perspire a lot like that. And
you should, like, especially at a Lao dinner table, nobody cares at all. Like, I mean, the reason the heat actually helps out in Laos, because it makes you perspire, right? And that the sweat draws heat off of your body. So there's a purpose to all the heat in Laotian food.
Well, because it wasn't like it was like, oh, you could see it on his face. No, it was coming from the top of my head, and it was just dripping everywhere. And I'm like, this is good, but give me some more water. And I still put more back in my mouth. I'm like, and then I think there was someone that, well, 1, 2, 3, there was four of us at our table, and or at our seating, I'll say. And the young lady that was sitting to my right, she was like, oh my God, are you okay? She was patting me. She's like, here, let me get you a rag. Let me get you a napkin. I'm like, I'll be fine. Just, I need water. But I kept eating the food.
You're
so
like, no, just I want to eat. I'm gonna eat more.
I need more. Yeah, please. Just give me more. Give me a moment.
Right.
Just give me a minute. So that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm sorry. It's just those moments where it's like, dang, okay, can I just like dry off for a minute? Anyway, on to the third pagao. Welcome to our home. Can I? You want me?
Yeah, he's tossing it. You want to try it? Or?
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, go for it.
But
I will correct you as needed.
Please.
Okay. All right.
Mukbang.
Good.
That's the steamed fish in banana leaves. I love that. The peng nok. Peng nok. Say it
No,
again. Peng.
Yeah.
Nok. Okay. That was a grilled quail. I missed out on that. But
this one.
yeah.
So this one's a little bit more. This one, gang chut.
Chut. Okay, you're gonna keep that one.
Okay.
That's the winter melon with pork bones, and then the lapet.
Yep, lapet.
And then which is minced duck meat salad seasoned with roasted rice powder, lime juice, and fresh herbs. And oh boy, see, this has been a learning experience.
You can do it. I have faith in you.
Okay.
Tamak hong? No.
Good, close. Yeah. Tamak hong.
Okay, tamak hong.
Yeah, tamak hong.
Shredded green papaya salad seasoned with pickled blue crab. Which one of these did you like, Shannon?
Okay, well, by this time, I hated myself.
It was a lot of food. People, you don't understand. It was so much food.
I cannot stuff another thing. Oh, but there's quail. Okay, so quail is one of my favorite birds. Like, if quail is put in front of me, I can't say no.
Right.
So I'm, like, taking these little shreds, like, trying to stuff
taste.
it. Like, my mouth's open a centimeter. I'm like,
Very
I
true.
love this so much. I really do. And then... Because the soup was the winter melon with pork.
Yes.
Yep.
And so I'm just like sipping on broth, trying to compose myself. But I mean, everything, it was lovely.
It was wonderful.
It was, but I mean, and this is where I'll say, kind of going back, because this was a pop-up, and I've gone to a couple pop-ups, and, you know, they're always a dice toss. Because sometimes it's like, you know, there's disorganization, there's this, there's that. I mean, it's a hard thing to put together. And I thought this was so successful, because I don't think I've ever... like been to something where sorry, I couldn't hear something.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, where it was just like the food was so consistent. Everything was consistently good.
That's good. I mean, yeah, but I don't know what we're having.
Are we?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No. Can you hear?
I can.
Can you hear us in the mic?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh. I couldn't for a second. Sorry, I had to be dramatic.
Oh, no. We were just wondering anyway.
I was having a moment. I was taken by the sense memory of this meal.
Exactly.
She just got speechless. And then,
I really couldn't do anything.
She couldn't.
I couldn't.
No, I couldn't. It was too much.
For me, again, like you said, it was, the food was just... so bountiful. I'm gonna use that word. When it got to the third pagao, I was trying. I was really trying. I'm like, I'm here. I have to taste everything. The mokpa.
Yes.
I think I ate like 2 of those.
It's that. So the herbs that they put in that, they're addictive.
Yeah.
Like literally, like.
Well, because there was a lot of a dill in it.
Yeah. A lot of dill. I don't know if she. I mean, did she put lemongrass in there too? Did you notice lemongrass at all?
Yes, there was. Yeah.
But it probably would have been either ground up or shredded up.
I think it was shredded.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean that, like, the mokpa. Growing up, we ate that a lot because fish is cheap. Well, relatively cheap, right? And mokpa is easy to make because you can make all these packets, right? And then you can freeze them. And then whenever you want to eat them, you just pull one out and then you steam it.
See.
So growing up as a kid, we ate that a lot. I didn't like it at first because they would all use the fish with the bones in it.
Oh,
and the bones would get stuck in my throat.
And you're like,
yeah. And then I got used to it growing up.
The bones too?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, yeah,
boy.
the bones too. But mokba, like mok in general, though, that type of dish, the like that flavor profile is just amazing. Like you can't, because there's mokba. They can also do mokkai, which is chicken.
Okay. Dang, I would have.
You would eat 7 of those packages.
Nobody would at the table. They would be like, "Wait a minute, didn't we have something else?" It's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't have anything else. What? Yeah, that would have been me. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
There's just something about that the spice, the way it was prepared and.
Well, the presentation of
the presentation and
yeah.
everything, and then to know that you could do it with chicken, yeah, man.
You can do chicken. I've seen it do it with like bamboo shoots too.
Have you
mok no mai? Yeah.
Have you made this?
I have not made it yet. And the reason why is mostly just because my mom's was the best. So for me, it almost seems sacrilegious to try to make it.
Understand?
Yeah, because I'll be I'll sit there. I'll probably make like 10 of them. I'll still eat them all, but I'll be like, this isn't mom.
It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Because I was just about to bum rush and be like, yeah, you got to bring that to work or something like that, or at least save me one or whatever.
I'm
gonna find you, and yeah, we're gonna have to bring.
We'll have you over sometime. Yeah.
Oh, gosh, just everything.
So out of all these, so your the mok for you,
yes.
Yeah. And then for you, what was?
I think it was the quail.
The quail,
yeah.
I loved everything else.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the tamakung? So this is the one where, and I think I sent you an email, and I told you that going into this pop up, don't put aside what you think about as far as like Thai food. Even though they're similar, they're different.
Right, exactly.
And this is one of those dishes. Lap and tamakung are kind of considered like national dishes of Laos.
Okay.
Like if there's anything of quote unquote Lao origin, those would be the two.
Okay.
I know Thailand has versions of it because I mean that area of Asia in general, there used to be a lot of wars like back in ancient times. Okay. So everybody had control of everybody else at one point or another in that country. So like a lot of the culture has blended together. So you see these dishes that are pretty similar between the two cultures. Like there's lap, there's a Lao version, there's a Thai version. Tamakung, the Thai version would be called som tam.
Okay.
Right. But of course, the Thai version, they don't use the funk. They don't have the padak in it. They use just regular fish sauce. Whereas the Lao version, they put in the fish sauce and the funk.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what sets the two apart. So I mean, have you had the Thai version, som tam, and then now comparing it to this, what were your thoughts?
Well, I definitely say that it was kind of more earthy and like that really that fermented feel to it was really apparent, I think.
And like you mentioned, because they use, as you said, Laotian cuisine uses the funk.
Yeah.
That phrase, I'm sorry.
Like, I mean, it is like, to be like, I'm not trying to put people off on it.
No.
To be honest, it's fermented, so it does have a specific smell to it, right? But when you put it in things, it heightens
the flavor of whatever else that is mixed in within it. Yeah. And that's what I was trying to say about that. Being that with the shredded papaya, the salad itself, I was in love with that too. Not more than the mokba, but I ate that. It was like, oh God, this is so good. It's like. But see, like Shannon said, it was at that moment that everybody else is still sitting on the ground and, enjoying themselves. I was on all fours like, oh, God. I can't eat another thing.
Again, that's not out of the norm for Laotian gatherings. There's always somebody laying down, asleep. And then, but it's such a relaxed, like, it's just a really chill, comfortable environment.
It really was. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to go to Lemongrass. So I know
you should hit it up. Lemongrass is really good.
I really want to go there. I know we talked about it, and we're kind of probably gonna have to plan something, or even if you go ahead of me, I understand, because this woman is. I love going to her Instagram and following her, and because she goes to these wonderful places aside from cooking at home and everything. But yeah, we haven't gone together, but that's on me.
I know. I go out too much, but
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I love watching everywhere you go. I'm like, I want to go there. Dang, I want to go. I'm quite sure people probably say that about me.
He's trying to offer up an apology, and you're thinking being fiscally responsible.
Exactly.
Well, hey.
I feel punished if I don't go out 4 times a week. But also, I think I've reached a point where I'm like talking myself down, like maybe I don't need to go out for every single meal.
Well, we can't forget.
As I made brunch plans.
Right.
Well, we can't forget about dessert. This one is Khao Lao Song. Oh, Khao La Song.
Khao La Song.
Khao La Song. See, I'm pronouncing it based on like a Caribbean accent, I think.
Well, I mean,
something that's in my head or whatever.
And that's the thing that I try to tell people is that you shouldn't be embarrassed when you try. Like, attempt it, and then just be humble about it. And
no,
I know I might butcher this, and then it's completely okay.
Okay.
But if you're like Khao La Sang, then I'm gonna approach you in a different way. You're like, like Khao La Song. Oh my God. Then we're gonna have issues.
Chipotle. Oh my God. Chipotle is my life.
Yeah. No, Brittany. Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it's but maybe that's just me. Like, I deal with things with humor. Everything I deal with humor. So, Khao Song. So most people know this as tricolor here in the States. Yeah.
Good palate cleanser, refreshing at the end.
It's kind of ubiquitous in Southeast Asia, so everybody has a version.
Well, no, and it was great because what's her face from Lemongrass?
Anne.
Anne. She was bringing the plant that the what do you call noodles or whatever, it's tapioca flour and something else that makes up the floaty bits. Anyway, that's how she was. So she was talking about how it was made, and then this plant.
I was trying to think of how. Yeah.
And then this plant that she used she brought it around, and I mean we got to look into the kitchen too with what they were making.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. All we did was ask, Wesley. We asked.
Yes, I know. Well, you know how I am about things.
You gotta ask. If you don't ask, you don't receive.
The worst thing is somebody saying no.
It's okay. But again,
and then
make sure you approach it
in
the
a
right way.
Exactly, in a humble way.
Emotional intelligence. Can be like, I'm really interested in seeing, how the process goes back there. Not, hey, can I get back there and see how you do everything? Like, it's just all about how you approach. Yeah, I just want to touch all your tools and then figure out how to
lick a couple spoons.
Ew.
to claim them so I can take them home.
Exactly. This is mine.
Yeah.
This is mine. No one else is touching this. We forgot to mention what is the national flower? Or is it? Do you have a national flower? Or
I'm pretty sure we do.
Lily?
I don't remember. It's probably the.
Oh well, they were brought in. Plus, we got those beautiful
blessing bracelets. I forgot to.
Oh, the blessing bracelets.
Yes.
So the pukan.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was also a wonderful touch too. Again. Right. Showing the hospitality and everything and welcoming everyone. I thought it was really special because for me, I am at the table and everybody else had yellow, bracelets, and mine was red. Red's my favorite color.
Right.
So I was feeling very, very special. Yeah.
I was gonna say something, but I'll let you have your moment.
Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, the time has just flown by. I don't want to cut you all off.
We at the top of the hour?
I know, right? We're really at the top of the hour now. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate the fact that having you, Shannon, and TJ. Thank you again for providing that correspondence and so forth.
It's been a lot of fun, yeah.
Tune in again next week where I'll be covering more information about more foods. As always, I'd like to thank you all so much for joining us on the Unbougie Foodie. And as I end every show, I want to encourage you, never let anyone tell you what kind of foodie to be, because really, it is all about the food.